Today we're going to go over the Univah film engine rendering quality and lighting versus Unreal Engine Lumen. Now, what is Lumen? The issue with Unreal Engine is not just Lumen, it's the entire Unreal Engine look that you can't seem to escape from, which is why all their games end up looking the same. So, what's the problem with Unreal Engine? Well, Unreal Engine tends to be overbaked, over processed, um, overly color corrected, and just over the top in every way. And the reason for that is because not a single professional filmmaker at the Hollywood level uses Unreal Engine to make a film. I know that for a fact. Not a single filmmaker at the Hollywood level uses Unreal Engine to make a film. And the reason I know that is because if there is that one lone filmmaker that is in Hollywood operating at the highest levels of film, if they do use Unreal Engine, they would have to do a lot of tweaking to the lighting, to how the rendering works, to how the engine works. They would have to do a lot of tweaking. They would probably have to know how to code in order to get Unreal Engine to look as good as Univah does natively. And because prior to the Univah film engine, there was no other option. If you were a filmmaker and you wanted something real time, you had no choice but to go to Unreal Engine. Thankfully now, since I exist, filmmakers now have a dedicated native built from scratch tool that they can use that comes with the high-end graphics that they need in order to produce a client-ready film. So when you look at Unreal Engine, because here's the thing about me, guys, okay? And I keep telling people this. If you're going to tell lies, make sure you lie to everybody except me. Because I'm going to not only know that you're lying, but I can tell you all the different ways in which I can break down your lies and I can expose you in such a way that's going to be very embarrassing for you. So if someone claims that their software is being used in Hollywood, I can tell you all the reasons why that's not true. So a lot of the lies that Unreal Engine tells, it works on most people because most people are gamers, okay? Most people are gamers. Most people don't have any connection to film, like actual filmmaking. And so they don't really know what filmmakers need and are looking for. So there are completely different priorities between making a game and making a film. This is why I've said many times that a game engine cannot be a film engine, just like a film engine is not a game engine. These are two separate categories, and I am the creator of the film engine category. Before me, there was no such thing as a film engine. The Univah film engine is the first and only film engine that exists. So the reason why Unreal Engine cannot be used and is not being used by Hollywood filmmakers, despite the fact that it's real time and everybody's looking for a real time solution. But why isn't every filmmaker? Why isn't James Cameron? Why isn't Steven Spielberg? Why didn't they render all of Avatar in Unreal Engine? You should be asking yourself that. As established as Unreal Engine is, why did James Cameron take his blue people all the way to Weta FX, Weta Digital? Okay, James Cameron took his backpack and he stuffed all the blue people in there. Okay. And he took all the blue people to Weta FX and he said, hey, Weta, I want to pay you a lot of money to render my blue people for me and do all the visual effects. Okay. I want you to do all the custom water effects, all the visual effects, all the flying, create all the environments. I want you to do all of that, Weta FX, do all of that. And then I'm going to pay you to do offline rendering. Why? Why go the hard way and the long way when Unreal Engine exists? That's what all of you should be asking yourself. If Unreal is as great as they market themselves to be, why didn't James Cameron render the blue people in Unreal? You want to know why? The answer to that is obvious, but you guys are just in denial. Okay, so I'm a very blunt person, and I'm just going to tell you why. It's because Unreal Engine is for games. If James Cameron renders Avatar in Unreal Engine, the movie is not going to look like a movie. It's going to look like a high-end game. It's going to look like a, not even a AAA game. It's going to look like a AA game. Okay? And nobody wants to watch a movie that looks like a game trying to be a movie. Okay? What have we said? Good visual effects is visual effects that doesn't look like visual effects. It has to pass for real. Otherwise, it breaks the immersiveness. Okay? So if your visual effects looks like a game, to me, that's, I lose interest. Okay? I lose interest. So you guys really should be asking why people in Hollywood at the highest levels of film are not using Unreal Engine for their films. You should be asking yourself that. Because I've already told you why. I've given you a detailed answer as to the reasons why Unreal Engine cannot be a film engine and will never be a film engine. Okay? They are just too gamey. And that's okay. They are for gamers. The problem with Unreal Engine is that they don't want to accept their identity. They're having gender dysphoria, just like everybody else. Okay. There's widespread gender dysphoria, and Unreal Engine doesn't know what it wants to be anymore. So they don't know if they want to be a game engine. They don't know if they want to be a legacy DCC. They had a moment where they got confused and they started thinking they could compete with Maya in terms of being a DCC. Okay. So they don't really know, like, just like a lot of other companies, they're very confused and they're trying to be everything. Okay. So the software is getting more bloated. They're adding a bunch of features nobody cares about. It's just getting more and more bloated. You know, it's just going to get more and more bloated with every new plugin, with every new add-on, just more bloated. Okay. It's already a 200 gigabyte install. Okay. So more plugins, more crap. So by the time they're done, it's going to be a 500 gig install. Okay. So it's going to be a massive install. You're going to be installing for a week if you live in India. Okay. And your internet is not very fast. You're going to be installing Unreal Engine for a week just to get the thing installed. Okay. So, and a lot of their users are Indians in India. So, number one, what Univah aims to correct with Unreal Engine, because when I took a look at Unreal Engine, I was like, oh my God, the quality is not good. The render quality is a problem. Okay. And what Univah corrects is we prioritize film. And because we are for filmmakers, we understand how filmmakers work. See, an Unreal Engine gamer doesn't understand render passes. They don't know what that is. That's not their workflow. Okay. An Unreal Engine gamer doesn't understand compositing. They don't know what that is. Okay. An Unreal Engine game developer doesn't think in render passes. They don't think in let me shoot raw. They don't have a clue what it means to shoot raw. Okay. That's a completely foreign concept to a game developer, because game developers don't have to go out into the real world and shoot footage. Okay. They make everything in 3D. So they don't understand shooting raw. They don't understand that, hey, in real film production, we shoot raw and we don't add any post processing. We add no color correction. We don't do any of that in the engine. We do that in post production. So Unreal Engine gamers don't understand what post production even is. Okay. They don't understand that color correction does not happen in the engine while you're working. You're supposed to do that at the end when you're editing. So they don't understand the real film production workflow. That's why they cannot be a film engine, okay? Because there is a lot that they don't understand. That's why when you look at the Unreal Engine render, it's always blurry. It's always over processed. They have like 5 different LUTs, LUTs, okay? They add all these LUTs. They add all of the color correction right there in the engine. They add the ACES tone mapping right there in the engine. And then they add all these different things to make it look cinematic. And those of us in film production working at the highest levels, we all know to do the exact opposite of that. Actually, less is more. If you ask any real filmmaker, if you go ask James Cameron, if he has a bunch of effects that he adds in the camera while he's shooting, he probably is going to tell you no, that he shoots raw, meaning you need to shoot raw footage so that you can have the highest dynamic range in post production so that you can do perfect color correction so that you can have more range to do whatever you want with the clip, because you and I both know directors change their mind all the time. So you never want to do color correction in the engine. You render raw, you do your color correction in post production, because then you can change it to whatever you want. Then you can make it look as cinematic as you want. You don't add blur, you don't add motion blur in the engine. You do that possibly in color correction in post production. Because what if you change your mind? Then you have to go back and re-render. So there's a giant gap. Like, I keep saying the gap between how a gamer works, the gamer workflow, the game development workflow, and the film production workflow are two totally different skill sets. And Unreal Engine thinks that they can just add filmmaking as an afterthought, okay, because they want to compete with Univah. So they think they can just add, oh, we do films as an afterthought. But that's not the original design of the Unreal Engine. The Unreal Engine original purpose is to make games. And so for that purpose, it does do that. But when you try to now make it into a film tool, which it is not really ever going to be, when you start trying to add film-like things as an afterthought, knowing that the people that use your tool don't even think like filmmakers, because this same scene, the reason this looks good in Univah, you want to know why this looks good? Because it's raw. It's raw. Because I'm a filmmaker. Univah was designed to mimic a high-end Hollywood camera. It's like shooting with an Arri Alexa. It's like shooting with a Canon D Mark III, D Mark IV, D Mark V. It's like shooting with a RED camera. The raw footage that you would get in the camera. That's how every filmmaker works. And then you take it now to post-production and you do your color correcting. But what do Unreal Engine people do? They add all the ACES tone mapping in the viewport. They add 10 different LUTs to make it look cinematic. They add, and they keep adding all these things, and then they wonder why your final image is blurry, over processed. It just looks so dim. Unreal Engine doesn't know how to do sunlight. So you've probably noticed Unreal Engine can't do sunlight. Anytime someone brags about making a cinematic or a photorealistic render in Unreal Engine, you've noticed that it's always dim, have you not? It's always dim, it's always overcast, because they don't know how to do daylight, to do sunlight.